repurposing Noire as a $30 VR game called Noire, the VR case files, exclusively for the HTC Vive for now, is as fun as I'd hoped it would be. And on the Nintendo Switch, priced at $50, including all of the DLC ever released, it runs and feels like it belongs, even if its Switch-exclusive features, like motion controls and touchscreen functionality, don't add a lot to the experience. I played both ahead of their imminent launches, November 14 for Switch and December for VR case files, though remember that the 4K remastered release is also out on November 14 for Xbox One X and PS4 Pro. Noire on Nintendo Switch. Noire looks nice and clean on Nintendo's newest console when running at 1080p in docked mode. It's got every piece of content ever released for the detective thriller, and its mostly slower pace make it a great fit for an on-the-go game in handheld mode. It's aged reasonably well. The motion-captured facial animations that Noire hung its hat on in 2011 have held up best. The rest of the game world shows some last-gen cracks, but nothing I'd knock it for. The most obvious issue was the object pop-in on the horizon when you're speeding down the streets during driving sections. In handheld mode, Noire is a smooth 720p, per the Switch screen's own limitation. It also adds motion controls, optionally activated by pressing the SL button on the top of each Joy-Con when separated from the Switch. They let you move the camera around, sort of like a PC mouse in 3D space. It works well enough, but if you don't want it, you can always go back to the good old thumbsticks. The same can't quite be said of the touchscreen controls, at least in my brief demo. When you're investigating a crime scene, you can touch the Switch's screen to click on items, drag the camera around, or exit the investigation. The former two work just fine, but exiting a close-up examination, done by tapping the screen with two fingers close together, continually gave me trouble. At least there's always the B button. But these Switch-specific extras are just that, extras. They're optional and take nothing away from the fact that Noire remains an engaging, unique game, even 6 years later. It should be an excellent addition to the Switch library, bring in South Dakota card, however, and one that hopefully portends future Rockstar releases on the console. Noire, the VR case files. I was very excited to see how Noire would translate to VR, and the VR case files largely didn't disappoint, starting with the fedora brim you can see at the top of your field of first-person view. Movement, meanwhile, is handled in one of 3 different ways, none of which gave me the slightest hint of motion sickness. You can teleport, aim a cursor and click the Vive One's touchpad, or walk around by swaying your arms back and forth. I chased a suspect down by running after him, and I have to say it was quite fun. In fact, just being in Cole's office was pretty neat. You can put records on the turntable, or just fling them around the room, pick up the lit cigar with one hand, and waft the smoke away with the other, change outfits by picking up new hats off the rack in front of the mirror, and more. Once you're in the game, there's no narrative thread linking the 7 cases pulled from the full 2011 release. You are quite literally in the game. You can move around a crime scene, crouch down to examine a body, reach your hand out to roll it over or open a jacket lapel, etc. It's a great fit for VAR, especially when you can literally get face-to-face with suspects that you're questioning. On that note, in-the-field interrogations have now been tweaked so that your options for responding are good cop, bad cop, or accuse. And as ever, if you push in the wrong direction long enough, it will affect the outcome of your case. 2 other areas stand out: driving and fighting. Being behind the wheel of your squad car is quite cool. You squeeze the Vive wand grips to grab onto the steering wheel and use the triggers for gas and brake. I didn't feel ill at all, but my brain was tricked into thinking I was actually moving. As for fighting, throwing punches is simply awesome. You can block, sure, but the real fun is landing hooks, jabs, and especially uppercuts. And in true 1940s machismo fashion, you can release the grip on the Vive One to unball your hands and actually slap the perp. It does less damage, and is wholly unnecessary but nevertheless hilarious.